You know what's terrifying? Being alone in a building at 3 a.m. when you hear footsteps, and you're supposed to be the only one there. Tonight, I'm sharing real stories from night shift workers who experienced things that made them quit their jobs the very next day. These aren't urban legends. These are real accounts from real people who were just trying to earn a paycheck. And trust me, what happened to them will make you never look at the night shift the same way again. Let's start with something that'll make your skin crawl. This story comes from a Reddit user named Throwaway the Night Guard who worked security at a children's hospital. Now, hospitals at night are already creepy enough, but this is something else entirely. It was around 2:45 a.m. on a Tuesday. He was doing his usual rounds through the pediatric wing, checking doors, making sure everything was locked up tight. The hallway lights were dimmed for the night, and most of the kids were asleep. That's when he heard it. A child giggling. Not just any giggle, but that high-pitched, innocent laughter that kids make when they're playing. He stopped walking. The sound was coming from the playroom at the end of the hall. But here's the thing. The playroom was supposed to be empty and locked. He radioed the nurse's station to confirm no kids were out of their rooms. They confirmed. Every single child was accounted for and asleep in their beds. The giggling continued. He stood there for a moment, his flashlight trembling slightly in his hand. Part of him wanted to walk away, pretend he didn't hear anything. But it was his job to investigate, so he walked toward that playroom, each step echoing in the empty hallway. The giggling got louder. He could now hear what sounded like toys being moved around, plastic blocks clicking together. When he reached the door, he pressed his ear against it. The sound stopped immediately. Complete silence. He unlocked the door with his master key, took a deep breath, and pushed it open. The room was empty, but every single toy was scattered across the floor. The blocks that he'd heard, they were stacked in a perfect tower in the center of the room, at least 2 feet high. He knew for a fact that room had been cleaned and organized before his shift started, because he'd checked it himself at the beginning of his rounds. Then his radio crackled. The nurse's voice came through, shaky and uncertain. "Security, we need you back at the station. Right now." He practically ran back. When he got there, the nurse showed him the security camera footage. The playroom camera had captured everything. But there was no child, no person at all. Just toys moving on their own, blocks stacking themselves one by one. And if you listened closely to the audio, you could hear that same child's laughter. Throwaway the Night Guard quit 2 days later. He said no amount of money was worth experiencing that again. But before he left, one of the older nurses told him something chilling. A 7-year-old girl had died in that playroom 3 years earlier during a late-night emergency. The staff had heard her laughing in that room ever since. But it's not just hospitals where night shift workers experience the unexplainable. Sometimes, the scariest encounters are with people who are very much alive. This next account is from Gas Station Grave, who worked the graveyard shift at a 24-hour gas station just off a highway in rural Montana. If you've ever worked alone at night, you know that feeling when someone walks in and every instinct in your body screams that something is wrong. It was around 4 a.m., that dead zone where nobody comes in for hours. He was restocking cigarettes behind the counter when he heard the door chime. A man walked in, probably in his 50s, wearing a heavy jacket even though it was July. That was red flag number 1. The man didn't grab anything, didn't browse. Just walked straight to the counter and stared at him, no expression. Just staring. Gas Station Grave asked if he could help him with anything. The man didn't respond, just kept staring with these dead, empty eyes. After about 30 seconds of this uncomfortable silence, the man finally spoke. His voice was barely above a whisper. "Do you have a basement here?" Weird question, right? Gas Station Grave told him no, they didn't have a basement. The man's face twitched slightly like he was disappointed. Then he asked, "Where do you keep the cleaning supplies?" Now, this might seem like an innocent question, but something about the way he asked it, the way he was looking around the store while asking, made every hair on gas station Graves' body stand up. He lied and said they were in a locked storage unit outside. The man nodded slowly, then asked the question that still haunts him. "What time does your shift end? When do you leave?" That's when gas station Grave reached under the counter where they kept a panic button connected directly to the police station. He didn't press it yet, but his hand was ready. He lied again and said his manager would be arriving any minute for shift change. The man stared at him for what felt like an eternity. Then, without buying anything, without saying another word, he turned and walked out. But he didn't leave. Gas station Grave watched through the window as the man got into a van parked at the far end of the lot, backed into a space facing the store, and he just sat there, waiting, watching. He pressed the panic button. Police arrived within 10 minutes. When they approached the van, the man sped off, nearly hitting one of the patrol cars. They ran his plates. The van had been reported stolen 3 days earlier from a town 200 miles away. But here's the part that made gas station Grave quit and move to a different state. When police searched the van's last known locations through traffic cameras, they found it had been parked outside that same gas station for 3 consecutive nights. Always during gas station Grave's shift, always in that same spot. The man had been watching him, studying his routine, waiting for the right moment. In the back of that van, police found duct tape, zip ties, a shovel, and a large plastic tarp. They never caught the man. As far as gas station Grave knows, he's still out there. Now, if you think those stories are terrifying, wait until you hear what happened to this next person. Because sometimes the scariest things aren't what you see or hear, it's what you find. This story is from user Nightclearnope, who worked as a janitor for a large office building downtown in Chicago. The building was 43 floors, and she worked alone from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., cleaning every floor from top to bottom. One night around 1:30 a.m., she was cleaning the bathrooms on the 37th floor. This floor housed a law firm, and it was always immaculate, hardly needed cleaning at all. She was wiping down the mirrors in the women's restroom when she noticed something odd. One of the stall doors was closed. She called out, "Hello, cleaning crew." No response. She knocked on the stall door. Nothing. Probably just locked accidentally, she thought. But then she noticed something that made her blood run cold. There was a briefcase on the floor inside the stall. She could see it under the gap at the bottom of the door. A brown leather briefcase just sitting there. She called out again. Silence. The building was supposed to be completely empty except for her. Security had done their sweep at 11 p.m., and everyone had to badge out through the lobby. The system showed no one else in the building. She crawled down, looked under the stall door to get a better look at the briefcase. That's when she saw them. Shoes. Men's dress shoes with feet in them, facing the toilet. Someone was standing in that stall, completely silent, at 1:30 in the morning in a locked building. Her heart was pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. She slowly stood up, never taking her eyes off that stall door. "Sir, the building is closed. I need you to identify yourself." Nothing. The shoes didn't move. The person didn't make a sound. It was like whoever was in there was frozen, waiting. She backed out of the bathroom and immediately called security. 2 guards came up within minutes. They positioned themselves, announced they were opening the stall, and one of them kicked the door open. The stall was empty. No person. No briefcase. No shoes. Nothing. Just an empty bathroom stall with the toilet and nothing else. But all 3 of them saw the condensation on the toilet seat, like someone had been sitting there moments before. And on the wall inside the stall, written in what looked like eyeliner or makeup, were the words "Ikeondu yo US Kadili." Nightclearnope checked the security footage later with the guards. At 1:33 a.m. the camera in the hallway showed her running out of the bathroom panicked. At 1:35 a.m. it showed the 2 security guards entering. But here's what made everyone's blood run cold. At 1:27 a.m., 6 minutes before she entered that bathroom, the camera caught a figure walking into the women's restroom. But there was something wrong with the footage. The figure was distorted, glitching, like when a video file is corrupted. You couldn't make out any features, just a dark, human-shaped blur, and that figure was never seen leaving. Not on any camera, on any floor. They checked every single recording. Whatever or whoever went into that bathroom simply vanished. The building did a full sweep with police and K9 units. They found nothing, but 3 other night shift workers came forward after hearing about the incident. They'd all seen the same glitching figure on different floors, always between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. None of them had reported it because they thought they were going crazy. Night cleaner Nope handed in her resignation the next day. She now works at a small office that closes at 6 p.m. She refuses to work nights ever again, and she's not the only one. Within a month of that incident, every single night shift worker in that building quit. The company had to hire a completely new cleaning crew, and even they don't last long. The turnover rate for night staff in that building is now less than 3 months. So there you have it. 3 real accounts from real people who were just trying to do their jobs in the middle of the night and encountered things that changed their lives forever. Makes you think twice about taking that night shift position, doesn't it? If you've worked night shifts and experienced something you can't explain, drop your story in the comments below. And if this video kept you up at night, well, you're welcome. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more real horror stories, because the scariest things don't happen in movies. They happen to real people, in real places, during the hours when most of us are safely asleep in our beds. Sleep well tonight, if you can.